How was everybody's week?
Good.
Or I guess I feel like it's Tuesday. So how was everybody's weekend? Like week to weekend? You were camping, right, Hillary?
I was, yeah. My camping trip went really well.
Where did you guys go?
We just went to my family has some property out in Morris. We're in Illinois, so just out like an hour away from our house, and it's lots of land and the lake, and so we did a lot of fishing and swimming and just hanging out, and so it was lovely. It was really good. Thank you.
I know we have our camper parks in our driveway like true hillbillies. And my husband's taking the together, so we're all going on a girls trip this weekend. Pack, and like I don't know why I'm packing, because I'm pretty sure my husband's going to keep all the kids in the same outfit the entire weekend. Oh, Sarah Rico is here, so I'm going to let her in. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Hi, Sarah. Hello. Can you hear us?
Hi, guys.
How was your weekend?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it was, I actually had to get together with my college friends this weekend. But then my husband went to drop my two daughters off at camp. They were supposed to go for a week, and one of them tested positive for COVID, so they got sent home.
Oh no.
I know.
Sleepaway camp?
What's that?
Is it like sleepaway camp? Or
Yeah, for a week. Yeah.
My oldest daughter begged me this year to do it, but it was like in northern Michigan somewhere, so 9 hours away. And I'm like, can we pick something like a little closer to home, like your first time? I'm like, God forbid something happens.
Yeah.
Like you're not close. So
yeah,
he's not happy with me when I said it. Like,
they usually aren't.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be the four of us from what I understand, but if somebody pops in, they can pop in later, but I wanted to start with wins. So I'm just going to start with I'll start with like my top left, and that's going to be Katie. I feel like we're on like the, what's the one where they have all the Brady Bunch, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess my win was, last week. So I'm a teacher, and my whole routine was fully disrupted because I had an 8-hour a day training all week. And so I had to plan, because they supplied lunch every day. And of course it's like Panera. I mean, it wasn't awful like Panera or salads, but like, I don't know what I'm going to get. So I actually planned way ahead of time. I brought food so that if I couldn't make what they were serving work, I had like my sweet potato that I had my yogurt with my little crunchy stuff in it. I had like plenty, like my spin dress, my water. So I was like equipped, and I stuck to plan. So that was a good deal.
Huge one. That's amazing. Awesome. Good for you. Hillary, what about you? Can you guys
I can. Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Hear you, Elena? Yeah.
I was on calls all day, and my internet or this computer was not working. So it just said my internet was unstable. So I hope that's not the case. But Hillary, what about your win?
So if anybody watched the video from last week, I was clearly having a mental block. And it's hard. I mean, change is hard. Change is hard for everybody, but for me, it's really hard to just be receptive to new ideas. And so this week has been me working through the changes that, like Elena, that you're making to the macros and to my eating, and being open. And I'm still working on this, but I'm open to making some changes, instead of like it's open to accepting that there's something other than my way. So that's really big for me, to be receptive to changes. And I'm working on that, and I'm gaining some momentum in that, in being receptive. So that to me is a really big deal.
Good work.
And it's super huge because eating's so emotional. I don't know if it's a female thing, but how we connect to food and how we do things, it's super emotional. So I 100% see where you're coming from, and it's baby steps. And so I'm proud of you. So it's not easy. That's a huge. So,
Shoot, I lost.
I think you're cutting in and out a little bit, Lynn.
Yeah.
Yes. As my kids would say, you're glitching.
Your win week.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna try this from my phone. Hold on.
Where are you guys all from?
I'm originally from Illinois, so I actually
Okay.
grew up with Elena, but I live in Michigan now.
Okay. Where in Michigan?
Right outside Ann Arbor.
Okay. And where were you from in Illinois?
Downers Grove is sort of right
Oh,
outside.
okay. Yeah, I live in LaGrange. Hillary, are you in Illinois too?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, so
good.
I'm in Willowbrook. I grew up in Burr Ridge, and
okay.
I'm in Willowbrook now. So,
Okay.
oh, that's awesome. Is
Yeah.
everybody else in the group from Illinois too? I don't know.
Originally, yeah, and then I moved.
Okay.
But yes, originally, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, you. But then, how many women are in this bronze group with Elena?
I
Do you
know
know?
Michelle is. I know she's from Illinois, but I don't know about
From-
everybody else. I
from
know
Texas.
someone's from Texas, right?
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I don't know. That's very cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a hot one today here.
I know I just went and I voted and I decided I was going to walk to vote 'cause it's a mile, and I was like, perfect, right? Yeah, it was
Good.
what I thought. Like I thought I would walk where it's like shady, but it was like real hot. So I got there and I was sweating. They're probably like, is this girl okay?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, looks like I'm gonna meeting on my computer because I'm echoing. But as long as you guys are good, you can still hear me.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing I talked my husband into buying me a MacBook last night because this Dell is not cutting it. Sorry. Yes, there are a few girls. I think there's 2 ladies from Texas. We are all from Illinois. Michelle is from Illinois, and I'm not sure where Karen and Kathleen are from. Those are the only 2 I'm unsure of.
Mm-hmm.
But so Sarah, you can go ahead with your win now. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. Okay. So I messaged Elena. My win is that I messaged Elena this morning, and I've had it like just a stressful kind of couple years. My mom passed away last year, and my dad, I've been a caretaker for my dad since then. And I feel like I keep letting like excuses, they're big excuses, but like things get in the way of taking care of myself. Like my kids had COVID or whatever. And it's just like, it's always something. And if I'm going to wait for the perfect time, it's never going to happen. So I just messaged her and was like, okay, I'm tired of like letting myself just think of excuses all the time. So I started finally logging yesterday my macros and like going to the store. And so I just feel like I had a mindset switch a little bit.
That's
awesome.
Hey.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off, but that's amazing. And I think there is sometimes where it just clicks and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Enough of the excuses. You have been through a lot. And while being like a caretaker, it's so draining. It's a lot of work while you love your father, obviously, but it's, you give so much to everybody else that you're left with nothing. And how can you give when you're empty? So that once you finally realize that like you're important also, and in order to do all the things that you do for your children, your dad, your spouse, whatever that looks like, you have to be happy and you have to feel good. And that's super important. And for me, like coming into this program, when I started it, I didn't really know how much I needed it until like the first 2 weeks or so when everything did click, because there can be some resistance to tracking your food and weighing your food. And like, sometimes you're like, I don't want to do it. Like, even though you signed up, you did it. And you're like, I don't want, until something clicks and you're like, no, I need to do this. whatever that looks like. You could take that in other aspects of your life, but I feel like that's where I was at when I started. So I can relate to that. And you just wake up one day and you're like, I have to do this for myself, because if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. You know, it's a lot easier. You know, our kids, everybody takes care of them, get me this, get me that. And it's like, what about us? You know,
I know.
it's hard. Go ahead.
Sorry, I feel like sometimes you have this like big idea and this grand vision. It has to be presented to you, and you have to have some time to think about it and really see, how can I make this fit in my life? Like, can I really do this? You need to have a moment to work up the courage to do it, you know, to really dive in head first.
And, you know, Paul said something the other day. We were on a team meeting, Paul's Angie's husband, and one of the ladies that work with us, she was like struggling with, I can't remember exactly what it was, but she's like, you know, I've given myself this, I set an expectation, and I keep like, what did she say? She's like, I just keep like, I can't seem to meet that expectation. And he's like, well, expectation, we often tie a timeline with an expectation. He's like, so throw the timeline out. And he's like, and what are you met with then? He's like, then who cares? If it's just an expectation, like take out the timeline and like, just do it. When there's no timeline, there's no pressure, you know? So it's like, it's just like one day, you know, one day at a time. Oh man, sorry, I keep moving my thing. Okay. Now I can see all four of you, or all four of us. So, awesome wins. Like I'm so happy to hear them, and they're all different. And I love watching like the progress and the different growth here. I think it's super cool, and everybody, like, it's different for everybody. You know, some people it clicks, some people it takes some time and momentum, and then some people it's just like you have the aha moment, like Sarah was saying, and you're like, no, I need to do this. So super cool. My win for the week, gosh, there are a few. So I finally got my husband to start working out with me. And I have to be graceful there, because I'm all, you know, I have expectations of him, and they're my expectations. So I have to let go of those expectations, because our expectations for each other are totally different. Like I'm all, you got to do this and you got to do that. And, you know, I'm so hard on him, but he's doing it. He's not a guy that likes to work out. It's just not in him. So I'm happy that he's at least doing it. So, and I had one kid, I have 4 girls that woke up. She's so funny. She woke up in the middle of the night the other night and puked. And it's like one of the worst things ever, but I laughed because she didn't tell me until the morning. So she's like, I didn't want to wake you up, which I was kind of thankful for. She's like, I just balled up my blanket, and she's like, and I threw it on the floor. I was like, but, and she often does this. It's super weird. She was fine the next day. I don't know what was happening, but we dealt with a little bit of the sickies this week too. But we got through it. I usually that kind of stuff like really like affects me the next day, and I let it alter and take over my mood. And we actually had a really great day. She hung out on the couch most of the day, and we got a lot of stuff done. So I will look at that as a win. How is everybody doing and feeling with their macros? I know, Sarah, we're just like really starting to track, but Katie, how was your week with your macros?
Good.
Did you find you were?
Yes, I'm getting better. And I think kind of after like talking a little bit, you know, through that, is I have to put my protein in first, because if I don't like divvy it up, like we were all talking about, like I won't get it in, because I just don't. I'm not a big protein person. I'm not a big meat person. I like my chicken, my turkey, my dairy, but like I've always been that way since I was a kid. Like meat was like, so I'm really trying to like divvy that all up so I get all that in, because that's been really hard. But yeah, so far so good. It's better. Definitely better than it was. I think I'm understanding it more. And it's not as hard. Like it doesn't take as much thinking now. I think it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I think once you get to it and get used to it, mental bandwidth, like you don't have to use so much on what you're going to eat, which I think makes things a lot easier. And I think as you start tracking, your food gets really logged in your MyFitnessPal, and you that's like the point of those staple meals, to have some of those staple meals that you don't even have to think about. They're in your fridge, they're ready to go, whatever that looks like. it makes things a lot easier. And then obviously as you keep doing it, it'll get easier and easier.
And when you did that little Costco thing with all of your proteins,
Oh yeah.
like I went out and I got my Costco card and I got quite a few of those things. So that is like set up. So I really appreciate that. That was like perfect.
That was fun. My kids are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I just like, I somebody that I followed do it. And I was like, that's a really good idea. And I feel like most people, you know, shop. And somebody, was it Sarah, or was it you that asked for the Trader Joe one?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I have a Costco membership too. But I was like, just Trader Joe's was easy today. So,
Yeah, that's a super good idea. And I know that one of the other coaches shops there often. I don't have one super close to me, so it's not like my go-to. And whenever I go there, everything looks so dang pretty. I just end up buying like half of the store because they package everything so cute. Which, you know, they know how to get you. And then I end up with like more chocolate and cookies than anything because, you know. But I will tell Emily, because I think she's from Texas, one of the coaches, as she often, and she did like a little snippet of a video when she was traveling about some of the Trader Joe's snacks she brought. So I will fill that in her ear and have her maybe do something like that. It's just nice to see what's in other people's fridge and like, you know, getting different meal ideas, because it can get, you know, monotonous at some points. At least for me, I'm a creature of habit. So it's nice to like switch things up a little bit. So Hillary, how did your week go?
So definitely better this week. I definitely I struggled a little bit on our camping trip. You know, I had to definitely plan ahead and made sure I had enough proteins with me that were easy to travel, but still that I was able to work in a drink one night and s'mores with the kids the next night. And so doing okay. I went over on my calories a decent amount yesterday, but today I dialed it back in, and I'm struggling to keep my fat down. My protein I'm usually pretty good at, but keeping my fat down and my carbs a little higher, I'm working to adjust that. And part of it is like just eating through the things that are in my fridge, so that instead of buying whole milk versions of things, because I was used to eating more keto paleo before, so I was always buying the whole milk, or like the 4% cottage cheese, or, you know, full fat cheese. So trying to switch to lower fat alternatives. I just have to change those habits, and I have a hard time throwing out food. So like, I'm like, well, I'll just work these in a little at a time.
100%. And you aren't the only one. Actually, I feel like on most people's check-ins, a lot of people did mention having, you know, really being aware now how much fat they eat, and that like having to lower, like they were going over on their fat. So I wrote that down to talk about. I'm not saying fats are good or bad. Like no foods are good or bad, but they just hold more calories. So if you are going to be in a calorie deficit and you want to eat as much volume as you can, obviously we want to keep your fat at a reasonable place, if that makes sense. Just because if you go over, you're looking at 9 calories per gram, as opposed to like your carbs and your proteins that are 4 calories per gram. So when you get uber high in your fats, you know, the other two have to suffer a little bit, and we really like to see high protein. So I think that's kind of the trade-off. So if we can get you to like a happy medium in your fats, and just, I realized that too. When I first came in, I always kind of follow paleo diet. You know, fats for me were always told like they're good fats. So I ate a ton of Kerrygold butter. It's now that I look back, I'm like, it's kind of gross how many, like, you know, they're blocks. I would go through like a block in like 3 days. Like we went through a like ton of butter. I cooked with a ton of avocado oil, you know, 8 full avocados at like multiple meals a day. So I understand that. And like, it's hard. And my only thing is I still like to eat that stuff. I still cook with olive oil or avocado oil, but you know, most of the time I'll cook with spray. You know, other times when I really do like to cook with avocado oil, I'll do a quarter of a avocado instead of putting like the entire avocado on my salad, because it doesn't fill me up. I'd rather eat more volume in chicken that sustains me longer than some of the fats. So you just kind of have to pick and choose what works for you. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, really, it's okay. Honestly, you will lose weight. We just like to see a little bit more. I mean, most people want to eat as much as they can for the calories that they're allotted, right? Because we're going to stay fuller longer. So with fats, it is kind of nice to switch it up. Like, use your avocado oil spray instead of, you're saving hundreds of calories when you're cooking. I honestly don't cook with like a ton of butter now. I used to like throw my butter, like slap a tablespoon of butter on a steak. I mean, I threw butter in everything because I was like, it's good for you. So, and while it's not awful, I just did not need to be eating like, 2 sticks of butter in 3 days, probably myself. My kids like butter too, though. So, and, like when I do eat cheese now, it's like, I try to go to like a skinny cow cheese if I'm going to use it on something, or I'm really light-handed with my cheese. I mean, aside the fact that I think dairy actually does affect me. I went through my entire life being like, oh, dairy doesn't affect me. And then I stopped kind of eating it like multiple times a day, every day. And I was like, wow, I was like really bloated and really gassy. So while fats aren't bad, we just like to lower them a bit. So just making maybe a little bit mindful decisions on things that don't bother you. Like if you have a non-negotiable, like you're like, I need avocado or cheese or whatever that looks like in my fats, like that is a non-negotiable for me, then work it in for sure. For me, and I found that I could do like a low fat cheese, or I could, I still do like full fat Greek yogurt and stuff like that. That's not that big of a deal, because actually now I have a hard time even hitting my fat. More cognizant of like, I'd rather eat the calories and my carbs and my protein, if that makes sense. So that was kind of like a long-winded trying to lower your fats and just making maybe smarter decisions on that, if you choose to do so. I do want to go, somebody had a question on, okay, so that was one, over fat, under carbs. This is going to be a learning curve. Like Hillary and I kind of talked about this just with her numbers. And a lot of people, again, had the same questions. It's kind of like a puzzle piece. It really does take a few weeks to figure out how to level out those macros. Even some days, there are still days where, I mean, not many people can get them to like to a T. So we like to see, because there was a question on how close should numbers be to see progress. And honestly, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you will see progress. We like to see numbers 5 to 10 grams with protein and carbs, and then 10 grams, 5 to 10 grams in, I would say more like, you can do less fat, like, so like 10 grams of fat, if that makes sense. But usually it's like 5. Obviously we like to see you go over on protein if you can, but at or under between 5 and 10 grams for your protein carbs. But being in that calorie deficit, like obviously those are all interchangeable, but being in a calorie deficit is really what's going to move the needle, if that makes sense. Does anybody have questions so far on that, or the fats? And we also had a question about fluctuations with your cycle. This is going to happen. We're women. So it's just interesting to take note. If you want to do like side notes for you, or even more in your sheets, when you do have your cycle, I know it has an area for you to put it, how you felt. I felt bloated. My weight went up on, 4 days before, or whatever that looks like, just because you'll notice the trend. Mine's pretty similar, like 3 weeks in. And I know like a couple days before my period, I'm starving. I will literally eat. I feel like I can literally eat my entire fridge and hungry, including chocolate. So Katie and I were talking about, there's this like s'more bark from Costco. Don't get it.
It's like crack. It's so bad.
So, yeah,
and I budget that in too. That's like my thing, like right
Yeah.
now. Mm-hmm.
good. I last week I had my period and I literally like opened my pantry and I stared at it for like a good solid 10 minutes. And I made the decision because I was already at my numbers. I was like, screw it. I'm like, I'm getting my period. My body wants it. I'm going to eat it and I'm going to enjoy it. And I took that bag and I didn't even measure it. I took like 4 big pieces. I'm like, this looks about right. It was way over because it was not rice, what I told myself. And I ate it and I felt fine. But my advice for you in your cycle is your weight's going to fluctuate. It depends. It's very dependent on the person. You know, it could go up 2 pounds. It could go up 5 pounds. It'll come back down. It is water weight. Drink your water, get your steps in. It'll help, but it's really cool once you do start tracking, you get a couple weeks in to see how that really does, affect your body. And it's generally just water weight. There's usually, it'll go up and it'll dip down. So try not to let it affect how you feel too much, because we will always have those fluctuations. I wonder if men have like, they're probably not, because they can like stop eating something or like stop drinking some pop and like lose 20 pounds in like a week. Not fair. I think that is the only questions that I had written down. Do you guys have any questions for me off the top of your head?
No.
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 Were you guys all good with your 2 videos? Did everybody get to the overwhelm and momentum video? That was week 2. That's good. I've actually done multiple times. Did you guys enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I enjoy every single one of their videos and I feel like I'm addicted to them now, and I'm like Facebooking and listening to them. It's
so
cool.
true. I agree.
Like I have to go back, and there was one in February when I first started. Hold on, I'm going to do this on my computer. Let me see if I can find it real quick in Kajabi. It was like one of my favorite videos, and I remember walking on the treadmill in my basement, talking to myself, which I often do when I am listening to these. Is you just feel like they're speaking to like the root of like what's happening inside of you. At least that's how I felt. I'm like, it was meant for me. He or she made this video for me. And like, I just can't believe it. So
I've said hell yeah out loud before, but like,
yes,
that's me.
so it's so good. But I remember going back to that overwhelming momentum. I've listened to it a few times, and just at different points in and I'm not going to be able to go back by date, which is annoying. I'll have to find it and I will post it in our thread, the one that like I loved. But if you go back, like if you go on Kajabi and go into ongoing training calls in like don't go into bronze, but like underneath it's ongoing training calls.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the pity party, awesome. Seeing problems versus seeing solutions, amazing. I actually remember like where I was walking when I heard a part of it, like and I can't remember who he was speaking on, but he was kind of talking about the fitness journey and like what you would want for your children and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. It was great. But so a lot of these, All About Stress is really good too. These are the most recent, they're the most recent ones are in there. And can I share my screen on here? I guess I can. Oh, I guess I could show you on here, but mental reframing. I feel like that was the latest one. But I will find the one from February. I'll find a good few ones that like spoke to me, and I will post them in our thread just for like, something different to listen to and to go back, because they have everything in resources by category, but I can't remember exactly what the dang call was about. So if you go into Kajabi and then under ongoing training calls is resources by category, there's videos by category in there also. So it would probably be, it probably would be in February mindset. But it's fun. I would look around in there because there's a ton of like really good content and videos if you've already done like your weekly stuff. But marching orders for this week is just the week 3 videos. I think it's food measuring accuracy and meal prep troubleshooting. And that is really all I have for you guys today. So if you don't have any other questions for me, I think I got to everything that people were asking about. And I would just, keep at it with tracking and just trying to dial in those numbers. If you can pre-log your food, I feel like it's the easiest thing that you can do is pre-logging. That way you can kind of, piece things together so you don't get to the end of the day and you're like, ugh, like I got to eat, 50 grams of protein. Nobody wants to do that today. So, and it's Sarah, since if you have any questions, like going into this week with really tracking and really like getting your numbers in there, if you have any questions, pop them in the thread. I'm sure everybody would be happy to help, but I am absolutely happy to help. You got this. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your evening. It's beautiful here. I'm not sure, Katie, how's it there in Michigan?
Gorgeous. A little warm,
Yeah.
but it's very pretty. Yeah.
It was hot, but I feel like the nights have been cooling off really nicely. So I've been trying to go for a walk like at night. So I think I'm going to get out and, my kids and we're all obsessed with Stranger Things. So we have the last one to watch tonight. So
It's good. That last one.
yeah. And then now I have to wait to 2024 for the next come out. So
I watched them way too fast. It was really dumb. I should have waited.
So that's our evening. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll let you go. And you guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Elena.
Elena.
Nice
You're
meeting you
welcome,
guys.
ladies.
Questions, pop them on the thread.
Sounds
Will
good.
do.
Okay, have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.